Welcome back.
Hello, and welcome back to the show.
Same table, same people.
Same people? Yep.
Same temperature in here.
Same temperature. Nice temperature.
It is.
Yeah.
We have 2 heaters now, so it's not so cold.
2. Yes. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to share with you some answers to those questions that you have in your life. You know, you go around and you go, I wonder why this is that way, or I wonder why this has this, or I wonder why. But you just never take the time to go and look up the answers to those questions.
That's right. Even with the ease of Google, sometimes we just don't take the time to figure these things out.
That's right.
Well, that's why we're here.
Right. So today we have, I think, a pretty good selection of questions that maybe I know we had, but maybe other people have had. And then this is just a start. And then below, you can comment if there's any other questions that you've always wanted answered to things that you didn't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we can get started with the first one.
So number 1 of our question list, why do cats need? Like needing bread.
Yep.
Well, there are actually many reasons that a cat needs. Often it is accompanied with their characteristic purring as well.
Yep.
The main reason is that it's an instinctive characteristic that they inherit from when they are a kitten. Because when they're a kitten, when they feed from their mother, they will do that kneading to get the milk flow going so they can fill their little tummies up. And even though it seems a little odd that they would be older and still have this characteristic, it actually is a big compliment if a cat kneads on you, because it means they feel extremely comfortable and themselves and happy, and they don't have anything to be afraid of.
Right.
Another theory is when they knead, they are going back to another instinctual behavior of making a nest. So in the wild cats will paw at leaves or grass to kind of pat it down and make a nest for themselves or their young to relax and sleep in. By doing this, they're not only creating a soft nest, but kind of like when we fluff pillows, just to make it a little bit softer. They are also checking for predators or prey or dangerous things like some sort of spider or bug hidden in the leaves. So it could also be that.
It's interesting. I never actually knew that they were looking for things under.
Right. I just thought they're making it soft.
Yeah.
But there's purpose to everything wild animals do. It's very interesting. And the third reason that they could need is that they are marking their territory. And basically, it's because there's scent glands, actually, that release pheromones in their paws. And by pushing their paws in and out, they activate the scent glands. So if they're doing this on your lap, it's kind of like they're owning you and telling any other cats around, hey, she's mine.
Don't you dare come
Back
over
off.
here.
My human.
Yeah.
So.
I think with this, it's probably a mixture of both. Sometimes it can be one reason, sometimes it can be another. But I think of these three, this is kind of, why they do it.
Right. All you have to do is ask your cat which one it is and they'll tell you.
Exactly. Well, they are cats though, so they might be like, I don't want to tell you because I want to keep my secrets to myself.
True. They may just refuse to tell you, which is quite possible.
Yeah. So the next question you may have is, why do bread bags have colored twist ties and plastic clips on them?
Going back to the same theme. Kneading, bread, keeping it in the same theme.
Right. So you may not be aware of this, but there's actually meaning behind each color, and there's a use as to why they do this. Each color indicates which day of the week the bread was cooked on.
Who knew,
Or
right?
baked, yeah. The most commonly used code for the 5-day delivery schedules is blue for Monday, green for Tuesdays, red for Thursdays, white for Friday, and yellow for Saturdays. Most stores don't get deliveries on Wednesdays and Sundays. Now for me, when I go to a store, I feel like I usually see the blue and red for the plastic clips and then the green and white for twist ties. I don't know if that's just when I go, but I feel like those are more common than the white and yellow, though I do see them. It might be.
I don't know. I don't buy bread that often that I would pay attention to that, but now I will.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to pay attention.
Right. And it also helps the employees know, with seeing the colors, it helps them know what bread is probably more stale and what is more fresh so that they can put out the fresh stuff for you.
Right. Our next one has absolutely nothing to do with bread. And this is the question, why do airbags smell and what is the powder whenever they are poof exploded?
Right.
So when an airbag opens in a car wreck, it comes with the awful stench and lots of powder. Why is that? Well, first, to make the airbag get big, in a very short amount of time, an explosive gas generation device is activated, and the explosion inflates the airbag. The airbag is designed in such a way that the generated gases escape the bag almost as fast. So the result is the smell of gases and explosive, as well as a powder residue being distributed all over the interior of the car. So things happen very fast.
It does,
That's
because
why
it
you
has to.
smell
It has to protect you.
It does. If you ever wonder what the powdery substance is, it's actually just cornstarch or talcum powder, and it's put in there just to keep everything flexible and moisturize it for while they're in storage.
Right,
It doesn't
so
get
when
hard and crusty.
Yeah, when it blows up, it doesn't it's not inflated because there's holes and cracks and stuff. Right.
Yes, you don't want it to crack. You need it to be a bag. So in short, the bad smell is the explosive that has been burned, and the powder is starch or talcum powder. And the purpose of the trigger explosive is to release nitrogen, which is the gas that expands the airbag. So there you go.
Yeah.
If you ever wondered, I hope you never actually experience it, but if you ever
Right.
wondered, that's the reason it smells.
Yeah. And the reason I thought of this one is because our brother was actually once in a car wreck, and he was okay. But he did say that it had an awful stench when the airbag went out. And I'm like, well, I wonder why. So there you go.
Now we know.
Yeah. So the next thing that I've always wondered, and maybe you have too, is when you put glossy magazine paper into a fire, the flame turns into a bright green.
It does.
So
Colors
why
the
is that?
flame.
Yes. So printer ink, like all ink, is generally made up of 4 components: colorants, vehicles or binding elements, additives, and carrier substances. The carrier substances that's to make sure that there's consistency in how the ink spreads. And to make the answer a little more simple, inked paper burns green, or glossy ink paper burns green because of the presence of an element that burns green when it's next to high heat. The 2 culprits for the green flames are most likely copper and selenium. Copper and selenium oxides are used in ink they're used as colorants. Therefore, when you burn an inked glossy piece of paper, you might see a green flame depending on how much ink was applied. So it causes it to make that flame, which I think is really cool. I like the green flame. It's really neat.
All right, so now we have a question that I have always wondered.
You have?
One of those things that I've wondered for years, and now I know. So why do new shirts have that vinegar smell when you order them?
Always
They come
comes
in the
in,
package.
and whenever
I'm
she
like,
orders your
it
shirt,
stinks. It
why
smells
does it
like
smell?
vinegar.
I can't just wear it.
Anyway. Yeah, so I've always wondered. Now I know. So the answer is, when unpacking a new shirt or hoodie with a direct-to-garment, which is DTG print, you might notice the vinegar smell, or there's sometimes an off-white residue. I've never noticed that.
I haven't, no.
But okay,
Apparently,
sometimes
sometimes it's there.
That's because of a fixation agent applied during the printing process, and it is not permanent. So the fixation agents, sometimes known as a pre-treatment, are used on all DTG prints because it helps the ink bond to the fabric. Without it, the ink would probably flake off. So I can remember having some t-shirts and hoodies. Maybe they didn't use that, and after so many washes, it does start to flake off. And shirts don't do that anymore. So I don't know when it came about, but now I know why it smells like vinegar, and you do too.
Yeah. And I mean, but all shirts don't always have that vinegar smell. New shirts, so do they maybe wash them, or they just don't use that?
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Maybe some places pre-wash them before sending them out to you. Or maybe sometimes it's a sort of print, maybe it's not the DTG print and it's not needed. I don't know.
Yeah. So maybe when your shirt does smell like vinegar, it's actually a good thing, because your design will stay on longer because they did it that way.
Correct.
I don't know, but maybe, yeah. So here's another big one that I've always wondered. What are those green mailboxes around town that you can't open?
What are they for?
I mean, so we all know the regular blue mailboxes, and we know what their uses are for.
By the way, the coolest blue mailbox I ever saw was in Washington, D.C., and it looked like R2-D2. So cool.
That is pretty cool.
Anyway, continue.
Okay. So yeah, we all know what the blue ones are for. They're for you to put your mail in. But the green mailboxes are actually called relay boxes. And these boxes are storage containers for mail carriers as they make their rounds. Carriers can replenish their bags on the go instead of having to go back to the actual postal center. These green boxes are most common in cities where postal workers have to make a lot of deliveries on foot. These boxes are either filled by the carriers themselves or other postal workers in trucks who make the larger delivery runs. But you may notice that nowadays you may not see as many of those green boxes around as you did, say, 5, 10, 15 years ago. And that's because there's just not as much need for them apparently now. Loads have been getting lighter, hence the fewer relay boxes, which probably means people just aren't sending as much mail out, so they don't need it as much, which is sad. We need the mail. But also, another thing is the removal of some of the green boxes are also likely due to security concerns. Yeah, so according to the Postal Service, relay boxes can contain large quantities of mail in gray sacks that thieves cart off looking for checks and credit cards.
Ooh, those thieves. You gotta watch them.
Yeah, so, there's just not as many now, but they're still around. I still see them sometimes.
They do exist.
They do. But yeah, so if you ever wondered, they're just to make the postal workers' jobs easier.
There you go. Yeah. So here is a question that's kind of like a blast from the somewhat past, because they're not used very much anymore. But why are RCA connectors red, yellow, and white? So you know those 3 cords that you gotta plug in, or you did years ago.
Yeah.
So usually they're used for connecting a DVD or VCR player to a TV.
Yeah.
It was initially used for audio signals, and it's not really in many homes now because of the Rokus and Fire Sticks and other Google devices and everything. But you might still wonder, because I never really knew. So why was there red, yellow, and white cords, and what do they stand for, and what do they do? So here you go. So they're color-coded to actually be helpful to us if we were to know what that was actually for, and to help us remember which one goes where. So the yellow one is for connecting to video, red is for the right audio channel / speaker, and white or sometimes black is for the left channel / speaker of stereo audio. So there you go. Now you know what they're for.
So now we're to an age-old question, which is, why do we have an appendix?
Why is it
there? Even though most people may think that there's no use for it and you can just take it out, there actually is. Now, it's not as important, of course, as like your heart or your liver, and you can do without it.
Wait a second. Heart or liver?
Yeah.
Aren't we talking about the appendix in a book?
Oh, no. Sorry.
No, because everything you set up to that could have been the appendix in a book. We have to distinguish what we're talking about. So you mean the
slightly
organ.
confused there for a minute, but I got you. I got you. No, we're talking about the organs here.
Got it. Check.
Yes, so as I was saying, it's not as important as, your heart, your liver. You kind of need those things to live. But you can do without the appendix, but it actually does do something for you.
It does.
So the appendix is designed to protect good bacteria in the gut. That way, when the gut is affected by things like diarrhea or other illnesses that will clean out the intestines, the good bacteria in the appendix can repopulate with the digestive system and keep you healthy. So that, in other words, if your body's flushing a bunch of stuff out and it's taking all your bacteria, the appendix is there to keep the good bacteria in there a little bit so that it can repopulate.
It's like they have a little reserve.
Right.
Run to the appendix!
Yep. So there is a use. There is a use.
Why do you need a quarter to use a shopping cart at Aldi? That's always a question I've wondered, because nowhere else does it. Yeah. Just Aldi. So, Aldi is pretty much the only grocery store that makes you put a quarter in their carts to take it inside the store. And this is just one of the many ways that Aldi tries to cut back on spending money, pretty much. They do that in a lot of different ways so that it can keep the food cheaper, so that we can buy it for a cheaper price, which is always good. The 25-cent deposit that you have to put in the carts, it actually saves Aldi money because they don't have to hire extra staff to collect the grocery carts like they do where, people leave them in the thing in the parking lot. Because if you have to insert a quarter, it causes the customer, us, to want to go put the cart back so we can get our quarter back.
We want our quarter.
We want our quarter. We're going to need it someday.
It's a
good budgeter. It's a great idea. Not only that, but it also cuts down on the expense of replacing stolen carts because they aren't just laying around the parking lot.
Right. So. Yeah, it's just, obviously whoever designed Aldi is really good at knowing people and knowing how money works, because they're just so cheap. And this is just one of the many ways. Actually, if you'd like, I'd like to make a video on why Aldi is able to be so cheap, because it's really interesting. They have a lot of different ways that they cut back so that they can be cheaper.
Right. Yeah. Even the fact that you don't get bags there, that saves some money, and they're very nice that they let their checkout people sit down. I've always thought that was very nice.
This is nice, yeah.
And it is true, I used to work at a pet store, and we did not have a 25-cent meant cart return. And man, you would spend a lot of time. You'd have to like radio someone, hey, run out of carts, go grab them. And then you'd be out of one person in the store, and then there'd be like 5. I don't even know what people do. Like they'd just be like
I don't even
40
understand
miles away.
in my brain.
What are you doing with shopping carts? Like, what? Why did you park over there? And so, yes, it does take time.
I just don't understand, like, where people's brains are. Just with, like, I wouldn't feel like I could just leave a cart in the middle of, like, you know, a space or something, which I see a lot of times. I'm like, just put it in the thing.
And sometimes it's not even that far away from a cart return. It's like 2 spaces down. I'm like,
really?
How hard was that?
But that's
good job, Aldi. Good thinking.
So the next question. It's something you see all the time, and you may wonder what it does, but you've never taken the time to answer it. So that is, why are traffic lights red, yellow, and green?
Why are they?
Why are they that way?
We know what they do.
We do.
But we don't know why.
Right. So obviously, red means stop, green means go, and yellow means slow down but proceed with caution.
I hope they know that.
I hope they know that. Or it means just speed up and get past. That's a lot of
yellow
people do.
light go very fast.
Yep. So the answer to why they are these colors is actually pretty interesting, because you may think, you know, why not blue or brown or purple? Why these colors?
Why?
So we're here to tell you. So the earliest traffic signals were actually designed for trains and not cars, and they were red and green, and they were gas powered and pretty dangerous if that happened to leak. Not a good thing.
Yeah, that's not good. No.
So let's start with red. First, red, of course, it symbolizes danger in most of the world. I mean, it's just a thing that you think, oh, red, danger, you know? So you put that
wrong
with it. Yeah. And it also, red has the longest wavelength of any color on the visible spectrum, meaning that you can see it from a greater distance than any of the other colors. So it's, you know, it kind of makes sense because red is the one that you really need to pay attention to.
You need to see that one.
You do. So you got to make that one that you can see the best. So I think that makes sense. And red has also meant stop since long before cars were existed. Of course, we said with the train signals, they used red dating back to the days when mechanical arms lifted and lowered to indicate whether the rail ahead was clear. So the use of red is a little more simple to understand. The danger, you can see it, and they've just been using it for a really long time with trains and stuff. So
might as well keep it.
Right. So next is green. Now, green's role in lights has actually changed incredibly over time. Its wavelength is next to and shorter than yellow's on the visible spectrum, meaning that it's still easier to see than any other color aside from red and yellow. Back in the early days of railway lights, green originally meant caution, while the all clear, which, you know, means go, was actually clear or white. There was no yellow at that time.
How about that?
Yeah. And we all know that trains take a very long time to slow down, and legend has it that several bad train collisions happened after an engineer mistook stars in the sky for all clear light. Because
that's not good.
That's not good, no. Thus, green became go, and for a long time after that, railways used only green and red to signal to trains instead of the now red, yellow, and green. So there wasn't any caution. It was just
stop or go. Make a decision.
Yeah. So now the last one is yellow. So from the early days of motoring up until the mid 1900s, not all stop signs were actually red. Many were yellow.
How about that?
Yeah, along with yield signs, because at night it was all but impossible to see a red stop sign in a poorly lit area. So they used the yellow because there just wasn't as many lights back then to see. So
right.
And as to why the stop signs went back to red instead of yellow, pretty much materials and technologies evolved, and the ability to produce highly reflective signs meant that red could be used everywhere, leaving the still highly visible yellow, and, you know, it's still second in terms to red with the wavelength, so it's still pretty good to see. And they decided to use the yellow for just caution. And that's why school zones, buses, crosswalks, and other important warnings are yellow today, because they changed it all the way back then.
There you go. I think it'd be very strange if there were any other colors than like green or red for go and stop.
And seeing
it's so ingrained now. That's just everywhere. Green means go, red means stop.
And to have like the clear and the other stuff, and like, I mean, especially the stop sign. Seeing a yellow stop sign, that I probably wouldn't stop. Is the thing.
It would take it off my brain to get it. Like, I'm kind of concerned about if I would go back in time, I wouldn't know how to like drive or walk.
No, you wouldn't.
Because I wouldn't know what the traffic signals mean.
Right.
So.
Well, in general, I don't think you would be able to drive because cars were so different back then. Now you'd be like, oh, there's Laura trying to get down the road
I'd probably
again.
stall out every 5 minutes.
But that is all the questions, the answers that we had to certain questions, and hope
right.
you've enjoyed this. Yeah, and
Hopefully we have enlightened you.
Yes.
On some things.
Right. And comment down below if there are any other questions that you've always had to things that you never knew the answer, and we would be more than happy to make another video and explain it
answer
to
them for you.
Yeah. But now it is time for the news.
Cats all over the US are uniting to take a stand against the popular sporting event that happens every February. Excuse me. That's right, folks. The cats are uniting against none other than the Puppy Bowl. They claim that so much cuteness and adorable play takes a toll on their mental and emotional state, and something must be done. They are suggesting all the potential puppy candidates must pass an interview process to make sure that there are not too many shenanigans in the final draft.
Not only are the cats trying to change the Puppy Bowl, but they are also working on making their own sport called The Edge. This is a sport that they have been brainstorming about for years now. It involves testing the limits of how far a human will go before breaking, and how far cats can extend their 9 lives. We will keep you updated on this story. And now it is time for the Taylor Treasure Box. I apologize, last week there was no Taylor Treasure Box music, and that's because I accidentally muted it while I was editing.
Whoops.
Didn't realize it, and then I'm like,
The music
watching
is
it later.
back. We hope. I hope the music
I
is
hope
back.
the music is back.
We'll see,
We don't
because
know
I
yet.
don't know. There
Yeah.
was no music here, so.
Yeah. Alright.
Okay. Would you rather have to survive in Mongolia or Vancouver on the survival show Alone?
And if you don't know what that is, you can explain that if you want.
So Alone is pretty much these people go by themselves. They can bring like 10 or 12 items, and they have to live in the woods off the land. And the competition is to see who can stay the longest. And you don't know like how long the other people are staying because you're all in your own little area, and you pretty much have to see who can stay the longest. So
starvation is the main reason people have to leave.
Because it's hard to find food. How about neither? I mean, that entire show, I'm like, I would never sign up for that.
No,
I mean,
never do
okay,
that.
you can win like a bunch of money, but
Not worth it.
no thanks.
No.
But if I had to pick one, I guess I have to say Mongolia.
Mongolia.
I guess.
I would go with
Sounds
that.
kind of cool.
I think, yeah.
I'd say Mongolia.
There's more sun, generally, I think. Or at
When I
least
think
they went.
Vancouver, I'm probably wrong, but I just think cold. Like
It is.
100% of the time.
And lots of rain. Lots of rain and lots of wind.
So I feel like I'd have a little bit
Yeah.
more sun in Mongolia. Maybe not, but that's just my initial gut feeling.
Yeah. What gives you chills? Not literally, so not the coldness. I've actually been rewatching the Avenger movies because we're enlightening our parents.
Parents are
because-
finally getting in on
Yeah.
it. Yay,
Right.
parents.
But like the scenes where like the Avenger music comes on, da 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 da. I don't want to get copyrighted, but you know.
I don't think they're gonna copyright that. Don't worry about that.
It's true. That's true. They probably wouldn't catch that.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, like when they're in their Avenger things doing their stuff, gives me chills. Pretty cool. Yeah. But again, hope you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure to comment down below any questions you have, and we will answer them for you.
We will.
We will. And make sure to give this video a like and a comment. Make sure to subscribe. And after you subscribe, make sure to press the bell to get all of our videos in your notifications box. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, which is @TaylorTreasuresOfficial. And I'm really getting used to saying that now. I can just speed through it.
It's a whole flow now.
It is a flow. And we'll see you next time. Bye!
So I'll have you guys know, we almost did not have an outro because she just got up and walked away.
She just walked away.
So, thanks for watching now that she's back.
Yeah, I was gonna go get our news
She was
stuff.
done.
We were gonna go.
She was
like,
over.
What? And right when I said I got this down, don't get cocky because I just walked away.
And I'm like, where are you going? We're not done with the video yet.
Not done with the video, but you can also subscribe here. There's a video here.
Video.
Pretty simple.
Yep.
You can pick one.
Pick one.
If you want. Pick one.
Or both. You can pick both.
You can pick
That's
both.
great.
Yeah, you can do both. I will see you next time. Bye.